Hello, Virgo. Welcome to your reading. So during the pre-shuffle, I got an image of a drawing, and it was just only one part of a drawing. I don't know how big it was or what the context was, but it was kind of like this African or even Egyptian queen. I was really getting Egypt, like old times, like could even be Cleopatra or something like that. And then the moon came out, and I really felt like there was an artist or is an artist out there watching this right now that's distracted. Really got distractions, um, and things like suddenly bringing you back to focus, like kind of getting caught in your mind or the railroad of the mind and the thoughts and where they kind of lead you and how they distract you. So so that was the pre-shuffle. So let's start here. Mm. All right. Okay. So I'm getting this mix of mundanity, the mundane parts of life, and the really deep mysteries of life. So there's this obvious attempt to try to merge the two, right? When our imagination really takes hold and we follow our internal world and where it leads us in our imagination and kind of our subconscious thoughts, subjective thoughts and ideals about the world. And I'm really getting uh, you're getting enraptured by this internal part of yourself, and it leads to these really fascinating places. Um, and here, so we start off here with the Ten of Cups, which is on the surface a very beautiful card, and it shows what kind of results when we pay attention to those mundane things in our life. And it's what we strive for. I mean, it's just an archetype of really a wholesome experience. The depth of the everyday experience and how that really can bring amazing experiences just in themselves, not for the sake of some larger um, cosmic universal plan. And maybe that is the plan. It is in that, I think, and I feel like you're trying to approach this, and or you're coming upon this side of you, um, perhaps for the first time, and I feel like you're integrating this and you're trying to express it, and yet you might be a little frustrated sometimes because the mundane part of your life kind of takes charge, takes hold, and it brings you out of that focus where you're really trying to create something, and you're trying to get down to some kind of truth, some kind of uh, truth, or even experience, like a spiritual experience, even to that point. And it's it feels slow. It feels like you're you're kind of dragging your feet in both worlds almost, right? It's like having one foot in one and the other in the other, and you're trying to step with your right and your left at the same time, but they feel not necessarily disconnected, but a little, just a touch out of sync. And you're trying to reconcile this here, and I think there is a beautiful art to experiences and allowing things to unfold and be as they are. And I don't want to just, get tout all these cliches of, be in the moment and just let it be and all that stuff, but in a way that's kind of what you're approaching though. Even though it's like you hear people say that it sounds like a universal truth, and you're like, well, what do you mean just be in the moment, right? And I feel like that's what you're exploring now and what you're about to kind of discover, because you're facing a lot here in your daily life, and then you feel this urge to explore yourself spiritually and deep down, and you really want to understand yourself and really feel your faith, right? Explore faith and what that means. And that takes time, um, and it's hard not to want to just reach out at everything and take it as a sign sometimes, because we obviously have a logical part of our ourselves, and then the more open experiential part of ourselves, the open-minded part of ourselves. And it's like you don't want to cut it all away, but at the same time you don't want to just take everything as a sign to do this or to do that. And so I'm really feeling like the creative process for you is a key to this in a way. Like throughout generations, art has just inspired people to create things and become something, right? And um, I'm really getting like you being in the zone at times, and you're like searching for that zone again, where you're writing or drawing or painting or even exploring, and there's this stream you enter, right? And you flow with that stream, and you know you get these experiences with yourself. It might appear mundane, but you feel this experience with, be it the universe or your beliefs, or other people. Even this could be even like a Christian faith, just as an example. Not doesn't have to be, but um, I see a broadening of those of that mindset, of that paradigm. That's really what I feel like you're trying to do, um, through like through several things. I don't like I'm really getting you might be looking at power or something of that matter, like especially because I got the image of the queen earlier, and here we have the emperor here, so like a commanding energy, one that just by their presence can elicit a reaction, right? um but like here I think you might be also looking at the the monetary aspect, the physical representation of that as well. And I don't want to say they're entirely separate, but that power I think is within you already. It doesn't have to manifest or express itself as monetary wealth. Just power over yourself is, I think, a beautiful thing where you can see yourself for what you are and allow that to just be. It doesn't have to necessarily represent wealth. There's famous artists throughout the ages that have only been recognized until after they've passed, as an example, right? People don't necessarily see it immediately. It takes time for people to integrate really deep concepts sometimes. Um, Even reading a book about a particular topic, might not really give you that experience. um, it takes a personal experience, where we can relate something to that concept or spiritual belief or ideal, before we see it actually manifest in front of us, or at least have something to kind of remember it by and associate it with. And that's really the process here. And I feel like your artistic side of you is where you'll really reach that. You and everyone else, right? Everyone who seeks themselves and to express themselves, really, because that's a study of the self, right? And your own creativity, and just letting that come out, whatever it is, right? And then exploring that further is a process and an experience. So from here we actually have all three changing lines. So I'm going to draw three advice cards here for you. Really have some advice for you here. I think this is the first reading I've done with all three changing lines. So let's see here. Good. Nine of Swords, or air, in reverse. Yeah, it's like I'm getting the courage to express and say and shout what you believe from the rooftop. It's I'm getting maybe a fear of either expressing your truth, like in terms of your beliefs or what you hold to be dear to you, right? And maybe things to live by, even where you feel like people can scrutinize you, right? And that's a part of it. That's the scary thing. But when you think about the broader terms of things, at least for me, right, there is no ultimate truth. We do not we're not privy to that as humans. So a part of ourselves is that sometimes, accepting that there is no objective perfect truth. Yeah, and then the practice, the craft itself, it takes time to to really uncover yourself, right? I'm getting the image of a canoe. So in my culture, it's not making a canoe out of wood. It's uncovering the canoe from within the wood. The canoe's already in the wood. There's you're kind of uncovering it, you're creating it, you're rediscovering it, you're recreating it, allowing it to be what it may. Um, so even like that's a part of it, even though you might not discover anything crazy, insightful, that generations will remember. Even still rediscovering that, climbing the giant, standing on the shoulder of the giant, as Stephen Hawking said, it's the same kind of thing. You're walking that same path, and that takes time. And don't be afraid to fail, is what I'm getting based on this advice. Try to stay focused. I think the eight of this is the Eight of Pentacles, so hard at work, putting in the time, mastering your craft. And then here, okay, and this is my kind of Six of Cups, or Six of Aqua, as I call it. So we have you in the very center here too, which I'm now just thinking about and approaching. So you always hear that same cheesy line that innocence is the true wisdom of oneself, right? When you discover yourself, you're really just stumbling upon yourself again, and acknowledging yourself to the degree that a child would, when they approach the world, an innocent child. I'm really getting innocence here. When we love something just for the sake of loving it, that is very pure. That's a very pure essence and experience, whatever that might be. um, because that is, when we think of innocence, we think of a child. We think of something young, just learning, right? Inexperienced, but still learning. But they have this look at the world that's very curious and non-judgmental. There's no prejudice, no filter, kind of that they're looking through. It just is in that moment. And as we become adults, we put on these masks, apply filters, and then, you know, when we discover how destructive those are, we work to uncover those again, to kind of break them down and reapproach ourselves. And that's part of this art, though, right? Is this self discovery and acceptance of oneself, right? Like, one, as an example, I'm not saying this is necessary for you, but a practice I do sometimes is imagining myself as an adult, as I am now, holding the younger part of myself, like imagining myself being held by myself, that innocent younger aspect of myself, and I'll just telling myself that I love myself, right? It's kind of that energy or expression, right? Um, with these all coming together, though, it's like you're that dichotomy of the mundane, really kind of, it becomes brighter, and this, I think, you'll eventually discover, and I think you're kind of discovering that as well, piece by piece, little by little. All right, so that's the general advice here. So I kind of mentioned changing lines earlier. That's because my layout is pardon me, my layout is modeled after the I Ching, specifically a lower trigram, so half of a hexagram. So we have the lower trigram of fire. So this is what it looks like. So if you want to kind of take this further, you can with the I Ching. So this is the lower trigram of fire. Um, you have a line of yang, yin, yang, and so above it is where you would cast more lines. You could cast 3 more lines to get an overall hexagram and get more advice if you feel that's really necessary here. All right, and then the last part of the video. So I generate cards based on keywords, 4 cards specifically. So I'll mention those keywords, and let you decide which might, if you'd like to look at those. I won't interpret those. Those are meant for you to kind of look at and ponder. So the first keyword is blackfish. The second is cascade. The third is irrigation. And then the fourth card keyword is a secret. I won't tell you what that one is. So if the other 3 don't really fit for you, then you can try the fourth, and that might work. So pause and then choose a timestamp. I'll show those cards now. So here's the first, blackfish, cascade, irrigation, and then the final secret is knock. All right, so that's all I have for you, Virgo. Thanks for watching. If you like any of the generated cards, I have a Ko-Fi channel where you can download those. If not, hit the thumbs up and subscribe. Thanks.